Radio Rahim here with more of the story. You already know Ryan Garcia tested positive for a banned substance in his defeat of Devin Haney on April 20th, according to VADA. Since that news broke, there has been widespread reaction across the boxing community and from the sports world at large. Maybe in this sense, more debate than I've seen about a drug test in a long time, especially from the onset of the announcement. First, we'll hear from Devin Haney through the words of Eddie Hearn, who spoke to him when the announcement was made to the fight camps.
I woke up to missed calls from Devin and a text saying, call me ASAP, and spoke to him. He's devastated because it's been very difficult for him to overcome the loss, but particularly difficult now to take the loss when he was 3.5 pounds over and the loss that he fought a man who had performance-enhancing drugs in his system.
However, the first public reaction directly from either fighter came from Ryan Garcia, who jumped on social media almost immediately when this news was announced.
This bull fucking shit claim that I cheated.
Lies.
Yeah. Everybody knows that I don't cheat. What can I say? Why didn't they come out with this before, the fight? If they found it before, why would they let me step into the ring as a cheater and then come out with the victory and then they post this, Again, these are people that are trying to attack me for whatever reason, but no weapon against me shall prosper. I never taken steroid. I don't even know where to get steroids at the end of the day. I barely, take supplements. They're saying it's coming from the ashwagandha. That's fucking retarded. So, at the end of the day, big lies. I beat his ass. Fuck out of here. Everybody go to Warwick tonight. It's lit.
And I was with this guy every single day. And I never ever saw
Fuck the Haneys.
That is not an uncommon reaction from a fighter who's tested positive for PEDs. We've heard that before. Every time a fighter comes out after having been tested positive for PEDs, he says, I don't know how this got in my system. I didn't take any performance-enhancing drugs. I'm not even sure it was in my system. Maybe there's something wrong with the test. There's something wrong with the system that tested me. All of that stuff, commonplace. It's gotten a little strange, though, with this one because you don't usually hear a promotion for a club night inside the denial. You don't usually see a fighter being quite that cavalier and still disrespectful towards his opponent and not acknowledging the seriousness of the allegation. But people got their styles. Obviously, Ryan has his very unique approach to social media and has had that for the past several months, if not over a year. Ryan then points to this ashwagandha root herb supplement saying, my bad, I shouldn't have taken this. Again, not an uncommon explanation or excuse from a fighter who's tested positive. They say it was in the supplements or it was in this dietary thing or something I took I didn't know. That's not crazy. The thing about it is saying my bad, I should have taken this, still has this cavalier kind of nature, this dismissive nature about the seriousness of the allegation. Now, Bill Haney weighs in. He accused Ryan of being afraid of his son on a level playing field, of Ryan coming to intentionally hurt his son in this fight. He went on to say, fuck boxing, fuck this. He had a rant, understandable, but accusing basically Ryan not only of doing this intentionally, but of doing this to hurt Devin on purpose. However, his defenders and fans alike jump on that train, and now we're down the real conspiracy theory rabbit hole. Here comes accusations about VADA, Victor Conte. Devin Haney's connection to Victor Conte is the very process that has determined Ryan Garcia to have PEDs in his system corrupt.
I heard that Devin Haney, he's connected to Victor Conte, who's connected to VADA real close. Victor Conte, known to get caught for cheating, got banned from baseball or whatever sport he was in.
Of course, Victor Conte comes back, defending himself after having been thrown under the bus. He is taking shots at Ryan, saying that tiny levels is misleading, referring to Ryan saying that he didn't have much in his system. This is either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. Either you have it in your system or you're not. As qualitative, not quantitative. And the plot thickens. If this had happened even a year or so ago, I would have dismissed this kind of claim completely out of hand. Absolute bullshit. The difference is that of late, we've seen fighters who have tested positive, who have proclaimed their innocence, who have been doubted by me for sure. Listen, I believe what the test says until you show me something different. And I am very skeptical that you'll be able to do that because I had such confidence in the drug testing and boxing. However, fighters have been able to prove themselves to have been clean, or at the very minimum, proven the system that found them to be dirty to be flawed. He has to have an opportunity to test that B sample, to go through the process, and to clear his name if that's possible. The scandal has the attention of the entire sports world, especially combat fighters weighing in from outside the ring, inside the octagon. Conor McGregor, very definitive, cheating the weight and was juiced, lifetime ban. Conor McGregor goes so far as to say if he were Bill Haney, Devin Haney's father, he would kill Ryan Garcia. In a long-winded tweet, he ends by saying to Ryan, "Get your head together or kill yourself." That's a bit much for me. More reaction from the MMA world, from Dylan Dennis, who's claiming Ryan Garcia is playing the victim, that this whole narrative about this happened because he exposed the elites is nonsense, that he's a coward. Every steroids test comes back after the fight, so this thing about like why didn't they stop the fight beforehand? Well, because you get tested on the night typically, and if you get tested on the night or even the day before, you're not going to get those results in time to stop the fight. Clarissa Shields has said, she doesn't want this to be true. That would be two black eyes on the sport of boxing. Like, I hope something is wrong. Some kind of mistake has happened here. I would say that's what we all hope. Nobody wants this to be true. But the reason that they test is because it could possibly be true. And if the tests come back positive, most of us think that you're probably guilty. And it is then up to you to prove your innocence. You hear Paulie Malignaggi weighing in. Carl Frampton, turns out Ryan Garcia is a rat too, just when I started to like him. Ryan Garcia, when preaching to the faithful, just flatly says, everyone knows I don't cheat. Caleb Plant, I think, speaks for most people in this tweet when he says, well, no, we don't. We really don't. We don't know if anybody cheats. That's what the drug test is for. The speculation and conspiracy theories and allegations are flying so fast and in so many different directions. There are now like branch off beefs happening. You see Gervonta Davis getting into it with Eddie Hearn. Quite personal. In fact, Gervonta is blaming Eddie Hearn for this VADA result, obviously pointing to his speculation that there's some corruption in the process and that Eddie put his finger on the scale or somehow made a test come back positive just so that they could strip Ryan of this victory and reconstitute Devin Haney's undefeated record.
Anybody that intentionally cheats in the sport of boxing, I'm not sure there should be a way back for him. I will say people change and people, like I've taken, when I look at Jarrell Miller, it's taken me a long time to not forget about it. I don't think you ever forget about it, but I took that really personally at the time. And if you would have asked me about Jarrell Miller, I said, I don't think you should fight again. But I also think everybody makes mistakes. And I also think you always deserve another chance. But it's a fight. And it's, Devin will, Devin's furious at the moment. Furious. And rightfully so. New York State Athletic Commission, a very good commission that will deal with this, procedurally correctly. And it will be a tough fight to win.
In somewhat of a surprise reaction, but understandable, Devin Haney says he doesn't really want a rematch with Ryan. And if Ryan were to be guilty of drug cheating, you could understand why you wouldn't trust a guy to get back in the ring with him. What's frustrating, sad, and infuriating for me personally is that we still don't know. And we won't know for sure, for some time. Ryan is going to have an opportunity to test that B sample, to make his case, to go through the process. And I wish we could find these kind of things out faster and with more certainty. I am not at all as confident in the drug testing system as I once was. I wish there was a way that we could stop these fights if a fighter is in fact guilty of drug cheating before the fight takes place. I think instituting drug testing across the sport in every case would be ideal, while I realize that is much more difficult to execute than it is to say. Ryan Garcia did himself no favors in the build-up to this fight with his antics and the way he conducted himself in the promotion. However, that part of the promotion is entirely up to the fighter. You can say whatever you want to say. You can act however you want to act. And that is entirely up to you and whether or not you think that sells tickets. And as long as that doesn't detract from your performance in the ring, as far as your best interests are concerned, who's to say anything? Coming to the weigh-in 3 pounds over and not appearing to even be attempting to make weight, and then being cavalier about the fact that you miss weight, and then being dismissive about the severity of missing weight, and then Devin Haney accepting $500,000 per pound because you miss weight, makes for a more murky claim against a playing field that must be level. I think in some sense, we got to take this out of the hands of both fighters. You shouldn't be allowed to come in overweight. It shouldn't necessarily be up to Devin Haney whether or not the fight goes on at that stage. I don't think Ryan Garcia did himself any favors by never acknowledging the gravity of the situation, either pre-fight and missing weight or post-fight and being tested positive for a PED. I don't think Devin Haney did himself any favors by accepting the money per pound like it was a sucker bet. He knew Ryan was going to be overweight and took the money and decided $1.5 million was reason enough to get in there with a guy who was going to be much bigger than you, at least on weigh-in day, if not on the night. And now pointing to that as added reason why, if Ryan Garcia is in fact guilty of this drug charge, he should have his record cleansed. I think his record should be cleansed anyway, because just like any other fighter in the past who has lost a fight to a drug cheat should have had that L removed from their record and reconstituted to whatever their record was pre-fight. I don't think any fighter in history should have ever lost a title if it is determined that the fighter they were facing was cheating. They should have their title reconstituted. I also don't think that the fighters themselves are in the best position to do what is not only best for themselves, but for the sport in a situation like that. This is an example of why a commission, why a ruling body should be stepping in. You cannot fight if you're 3 pounds overweight on the weigh-in day. You cannot accept $500,000 per pound if you're the opponent and accept the fight moving forward. Maybe this should be something that is taken out of the hands of the promoters and the fighters who have their own incentives to go forward and put themselves in harm's way, not unlike a referee stepping in and stopping a fight to save the fighter from himself. The boxing world has to find a way sometimes to save these fighters from themselves, even outside the ring. Whatever happens here, I really, truly hope that justice is served. Ideally, this is at least not a second black eye on the sport, as Clarissa Shields called it. Hopefully, this will be adjudicated justly, and we will get a result that we can all have confidence in, having been the right result. But looking forward, moving forward as a boxing community, as the greater sports community at large, we've got to fix these problems in boxing. We have to look at these things from a different perspective. It's not just what the fighter will do or be willing to do, and it's not just what a fighter will accept or be willing to accept. It's what the standard of competition is in the sport of boxing and who's responsible for maintaining that standard for all involved: fans, promoters, fighters, our humanity, and preserving the very life that these guys go in the ring and put on the line every Saturday night. Radio Rahim with more of the story.